Yes, the NBA's collective bargaining agreement contains a clause that lets Donovan Mitchell force the Cavaliers onto a trade timeline, and reports on September 18, 2025 say he's leveraging it right now. The receipt is in the fine print. Article 7, Section 7 of the CBA lays out when veteran extensions can be negotiated and when they can't, creating a preseason deadline that flips leverage from team to player. If the Cavs don't meet that window with terms Mitchell's camp will accept, the calendar itself becomes the weapon. The common belief is simple. Stars force trades with tweets, cryptic IG stories, or by refusing to show up. The reality is far colder and far more effective. The real pressure point is paperwork. When the CBA closes certain extension paths during the season and limits extend and trade mechanics to specific windows, a star can say, "Do the deal now, my way," or "live with my expiring leverage later." That's not bluster. It's process, and it's why front offices panic before opening night. Here's the contrarian take backed by receipts. What looks like drama is actually contract engineering. Mitchell's 2024 extension in Cleveland locked in money, but also a player option in 2027 to 28, which lets his camp map out exactly when the next decision point hits. Combine that with Article 7, Section 7's off-season only rules for certain extensions, and the extend and trade limitations tied to Section 8(e), and you get a ticking clock that's louder than any headline. The plan? We're answering 3 questions. What exactly is the CBA language Mitchell can use? Why does it create a hard deadline before the season tips that forces the Cavs' hand? And how does that translate into real trade leverage, offers, destinations, and timing without a messy public demand? Along the way, we'll show you the receipts from the CBA text by section and timestamp, the known details of Mitchell's deal from last summer, and the public responses that set the table. We checked the cap math, mapped the timeline to the league calendar, and ran this through 2 lenses, a capologist's mechanics and a PR strategist's playbook. So let's start with the move that surprises most fans. The extend and trade is not some infinite menu you can order off mid-season. It comes with a very short shelf life and strict portions. Under the 2023 CBA's upgraded rules, an extension connected to a trade is limited by when it's signed and how many new seasons it can cover, and there are blackout periods afterward where more extensions are forbidden. What does that mean in English? It means if Mitchell wants both a trade and security at his number, the safest way to do it is in a specific preseason window. Miss it and you're suddenly stuck with half measures, shorter extensions, less raise flexibility, or waiting months while value erodes. That's the first pressure point his camp can quietly present to Cleveland. There's a clean, CBA-compliant path to move him now with the extension parameters attached, or there's a messier, riskier path later. Waiting until after the season starts removes some of the most team-friendly mechanics and raises the odds the acquiring team will price in uncertainty. If you're the Cavs, that translates directly into worse offers. Now to the rule that most people misread. Article 7, Section 7 tells you when veteran extensions can be negotiated. If a player seeks to extend more than a year before the first season of that new term, the CBA confines those negotiations to the off-season, July 1st up to the day before the regular season. That language doesn't scream loophole, but it functions like one. A player can make it known he'll do business only in the window the CBA permits, at numbers he considers fair. When the calendar flips to opening night, the Cavs can't just call on a random Tuesday in December and say, "Okay, fine, let's extend on your terms." The book is closed until the next off-season. That transforms, we'll talk later, into you have days, not months. This is where Mitchell's 2024 extension matters. He took the money, but preserved future choice with a player option. That option isn't just a salary line, it's leverage. It creates a known expiration path other teams can model, which is precisely what drives bidding now. If you trade for him today and secure the extension permitted with an accompanying trade, your risk profile looks one way. If you wait and hope, you might be acquiring a short-timer who controls the summer in a market with second-apron handcuffs. His camp doesn't need to threaten anything publicly. The spreadsheet does it for them. Let's talk about the 6-month freeze rule most fans never hear about. If a player signs a standard veteran extension, or a renegotiation outside the trade length provision, and then gets moved, there's a 6-month period where new extension activity is off the table. Flip it around, and if a team trades for a player, They're barred from entering into a fresh extension for 6 months unless it's part of a tightly defined extend and trade at the time of the deal. That's a giant neon sign blinking, decide now. For a star at Mitchell's level, teams want contractual certainty the moment they ship out picks and prospects. If the Cavs let this preseason window close, any acquiring team has to accept months of uncertainty or adjust the price downward. Either way, Cleveland's leverage leaks. And that's before we layer in the tax apron landmines. The newest CBA places severe restrictions on second apron teams, limitations on aggregating salaries, frozen exceptions, and stiff penalties for stacking money. Translation: your buyer pool shrinks, and the cleanest cap legal constructions require planning. Preseason is when rival front offices still have roster flexibility and used exceptions and open hard cap paths. After tip-off, many of those doors lock. Again, the calendar remains the weapon. Now zoom out to the PR chessboard, because the soft power matters. If the first public whiff of discontent drops on September 18th, that timing is not accidental. It's late enough to make executives sweat, but early enough to paper over the outcome as mutual. A quiet camp can leak that a preferred destination will include an extension if the deal is executed before opening night. That's positive pressure for the buyer, negative pressure for the seller, and it stays just inside the line of decorum. You don't need a trade demand Instagram story. You need credible timing and numbers, and the CBA supplies both. So what happens inside the Cavs building? The cap desk and the GM are mapping 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, meet the number in the preseason window, keep Mitchell, and accept the long-term cost. Scenario 2, authorize the agent to find extend and trade partners who can meet the structure and value the Cavs want, then choose the least painful package before the season. Scenario 3, call the bluff, play the season, and risk a mid-year marketplace where your return gets dinged for extension uncertainty. Only one of those scenarios protects asset value without overpaying, and that's the one that happens before Game 1. Receipts time. The CBA's extension windows are explicit. Veteran extensions tied to a trade are limited to a set number of new seasons, with different caps depending on when they're signed. Extensions not tied to trades have their own timing rules and off-season-only restrictions when you're more than a year out from the new term. There's also the 6-month no-extension restriction after certain transactions, precisely the kind of clause that makes buyers demand answers before they include the extra pick. Everything about this incentivizes action before the ball goes up. How does Mitchell's 2024 deal slot into those mechanics? He agreed to a 3-year extension with a player option in the final season, a structure that front offices read as we're aligned short to midterm, but we're not closing the door on a reset. That's not controversial. It's smart. It keeps career earnings power high and lets the player reprice himself when cap growth and TV money are clearer. If he now tells the Cavs, we're only doing the next thing if it's in this window and at this tier, that isn't selfish. It's standard leverage. Where could he go? The real list is shorter than the rumor mill. You need a team with interest, assets, and the ability to thread both the extension terms and the apron math. Preseason is when non-apron or first-apron teams can still rearrange furniture and avoid hard cap traps. Once the season starts, injury exceptions, base year complications, and hard cap bins jam the works. If Mitchell prefers a small set of destinations, the only way those teams can credibly overpay is if they get the extension certainty at the moment of the trade. Again, timeline leverage. Let's also separate reporting from analysis. As of the September 18th chatter, nothing official from Team PR says trade request. Publicly, you'll hear no comment. We value Donovan, and we're focused on the season. That's normal. From the player's side, you won't hear demand. You'll hear we're exploring all options. We love Cleveland's fans, and we're focused on winning. Also normal. The leverage here isn't the quote, it's the calendar. A denial doesn't change the math that the preseason window is unique, and every GM knows it. Here's a detail casual fans miss. The extend and trade rules now allow a bit more length than the old CBA under specific conditions, but the league also tightened anti-circumvention guardrails. That's why you see highly choreographed deals. A trade call paired with an extension framework that exactly fits the CBA's allowed years and raises. If you wait and try to stack a richer extension after the trade, you run straight into the 6-month wall. For a star, that's untenable. For the acquiring team, it's a valuation haircut. Preseason solves it. Bring in the expert lenses. A cap strategist will tell you that deadline in the NBA rarely means December 15th or February's trade buzzer. It means the night before opening tip, when certain extension pathways go dark. A PR strategist will tell you the best-case optics for both sides is a negotiation that looks inevitable, civilized, and on-brand. The player loves it here but wants clarity. The team explored all options and made the best decision for the franchise. None of that would be possible without a clause that politely shuts the door once the season starts. If you're Cleveland, what's the cleanest counter? You can set your own deadline. Make a robust offer that expires at the same preseason cutoff. If it's accepted, you keep your star and sell stability. If it's rejected, you greenlight the agent to canvass extend and trade partners for packages that meet your ask. The worst play is indecision. That's how you get neither an extension nor full value, and it's how the league's most expensive lesson keeps repeating. The calendar wins. And if you're the player, the path is straight. You publicly commit to camp, avoid theatrics, and privately present your two versions of the future: an extension within this window at your number in Cleveland, or an extend and trade to one of a handful of teams ready to meet it. You keep repeating the same line to the front office: we respect the organization. We just have to operate within the rules. The rules, in this case, are your leverage. So, did an obscure clause let Donovan Mitchell force a trade? It did something better. It gave him a legal, predictable way to compress the timeline until the team's only real choices were yes now or less later. The clause doesn't pick the destination. It dictates the pace. And in the NBA, pace is power. Here's the bottom line. The first week of October is not just media day chatter. It's a contractual cliff. Article 7, Section 7 closes doors that won't open again until July. Section 8(e) makes certain extensions possible only at the moment of a trade, and the 6-month rule slams shut the idea of "we'll extend you later." Layer Mitchell's option onto that structure, and you get a pressure chamber that favors decisive teams and decisive stars. Whether Cleveland placates or pivots, the decision has to come with the season still on the runway. And that's why the story matters beyond one player and one franchise. In the post-TV deal, post-apron NBA, stars won't need to torch bridges to move. They'll learn the calendar, pair it with the right option structures, and push decisions into narrow legal windows where teams must either overpay to keep them or maximize value to move them. It's not diva behavior. It's how the CBA is written. If you want the bigger picture, how agents stack options, how teams rehearse these negotiations months out, and how the quiet memos shape public outcomes, your next stop is our Locker Room Confidential playlist. That's where we unpack the playbook everyone uses, so you can see the move coming before the first rumor hits your feed.